Bitcoin and Litecoin update. What's up, guys? Crypto Savvy here. I hope everybody's having a fabulous Wednesday. We're going to take a look at the charts, starting out with Litecoin, then moving on to Bitcoin. Then we're going to take a look at my favorite chart comparison that we've been watching since January on this channel, which is the Bitcoin Daily versus the Gold Weekly chart, and why I believe we could hit 46,000 by the end of the year. So definitely stick around to the end to check that out, especially if you haven't seen it already. Also, I want to remind you guys, click the description box below the video. Some links will pop up. There's a free Discord link in there with an awesome crypto community. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. It's just a great group of people in there. Also, there is some exchange links. There's Prime XBT, KRAKEN, which is the exchange I use, and Bybit, which you can trade leverage if you're interested in that. But be careful if you do choose to do that, as it's extremely risky. Also, yeah, there's some other links in there, Ledger, Brave Browser. Check them out if you can. It's affiliate links that actually help the channel out. So let's get into the video. All right, guys, as always, I want to start out by saying I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion and my view of the market only. Anybody that's doing any trading or investing in this market, I suggest you do your own due diligence and your own research, as this market is extremely volatile and risky. Also, keep in mind, it's still a speculative market. Do not put in more than you're willing to lose. With that being said, if you like these daily updates, definitely hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand side of the screen. That'll get you subscribed to the channel. Then if you take the notification bell, that'll get you notified when I post new videos, as I do post every day, and I also do live streams, so it'll notify you when I go live. So definitely don't forget to do that, and let's take a look at what's going on. All right, so this is Litecoin on the weekly, and we've been watching this hidden bullish divergence here. We're having higher lows in the price action, lower lows in the RSI. That's hidden bullish divergence. Now let's go into the daily and see what we're looking at here. We're going to start out with my targets on the daily, which still look valid, and we've been watching this as a cup and then a handle forming now. I'll draw it in there real quick so you can see it. This would be the cup. Oh, sorry about that. This would be the cup, this being the handle. Now, if it plays out, the neckline on that's around the $146 range. So if we were to break that, my target's around the 271 range, somewhere in there. Again, guys, these aren't exact, but it gives us an idea where it's going. So that's what I'm looking at now. We'll look at the more immediate price action here in a minute, but I want to look at the RSI and see what's going on in there. So looking at the daily RSI, guys, we had this rising channel that we followed since back in November of last year, and we fell out of that into a falling channel. And if you were watching yesterday's update, I was looking at this as a falling broadening wedge, and if we popped out, we were going to get a nice move up, which we have. If we continue up to test the top of this falling channel in white here, that's the bullish scenario. There is a bearish scenario that we come back down to retest the top of this, and we'll take a look at both scenarios. I am bullish here, guys, still. So let's look at the 4 hour. All right, so in the 4 hour, I'm going to change this. We were watching this falling channel, falling wedge type deal last week, and I said if we broke out, you know, we'd get a nice move up, which we did. I'm going to get rid of this line now, because yesterday, if you were watching the video, we were looking at this here as a falling broadening wedge, and if we were to pop out, that was the more bullish scenario, and that's exactly what we did. We could be coming up to test the top of this long-term channel since April, and that would get the RSI up to the 71 area. That's not to say it stops there. We could go up, but like I said, we could come back down and test the top of this falling broadening wedge, which would be the bearish case scenario. So we're going to take a look at our price targets now. and see what's going on in the more immediate price action. So excuse me, I have this falling channel drawn here, which I still look at this as a bull trap, guy, or a bear trap, and I do believe we're probably gonna continue on up here, but we'll take a look at the bearish case scenario first. In the bearish case scenario, this long-term blue trend line here would also be coming down to retest this falling channel that we broke out of, and that would be around the $81 range. Again, this is the bearish case scenario. I'm looking more towards the bullish, although I do believe it's pretty possible that we come down to the 81. But if that was to break, I have a measured move measuring this as a A, B, and a C, and again, this is the bearish case, and that would get us down to the $76 range. And if that wasn't to hold, you guys that have been watching my channel know my worst case scenario is a $62 range, which would be this long-term trend line from when we bottomed out back in December. And it's also, if you look here, it was heavy resistance, which would become support. But again, I am looking at the more bullish case scenario. So and I also want to show you a trend change line in Bitcoin after this, so definitely stick around. Now, I do have these targets here, the 103 area, and that is measuring this channel that we broke out of right here, and we would take this to the breakout, and that gets us around the 103 range, guys. Now I do have, let me get this out of here, a longer term target. If we were to break out of this top here, if we get to that 103, we're most likely headed to the 128 range, and that is a measured move of this falling channel right here, the bigger one. And depending on where we break out, guys, if we broke out somewhere in this range around the 97 area, we are going to get some resistance, most likely around the 103 range. And I do want to point out that that 103 range is also, if you look at this white trend line, that would be retesting this for resistance. If we were to break through, that would be our measured move of this rising channel, which is around the $130 range. And as you guys know, then we would start looking at our higher targets up in these ranges. So again, I'm bullish here, so that is what I'm looking at, guys. But definitely keep an eye on these lower targets also, because if them break, like I said, worst case scenario, 62 bucks. All right, looking at Bitcoin, same thing. Higher lows in the price action, lower lows in the RSI, hidden bullish divergence. We've been watching this for a while. I'm going to go into the daily and look at what's going on here. All right, so on the daily, if you guys have been following the channel, we've been hitting these targets pretty dead on, guys. Now, what I'm looking at here is, you can see this white trend line, the fat white trend line I have in here, off of all these touches. There is 5 touches here. And then when we broke through, and if you noticed where we broke through, that is right around that 60, let's see, where is that? Right around the 65-75 range, which was old resistance in the bear market before the breakdown. And once we broke through that, we did come back down and test this trend line again, and we got this huge move up here, and we almost touched it here, but not quite. So it does lead me to believe that we could come back, even if we just go sideways and come back over to this trend line. And I do have a bearish case scenario too, and we'll look at that in a little bit. I just want to look at these bullish targets first, and we measured this as a falling wedge, and we would take a measurement of right here and say we broke out somewhere in the 11.6, 11.7 range, break the top of this. That gets us up to about the $16,000 range, which is in line with this white trend line I have here from these peaks way down here. And another way I've been looking at that is this as a bull flag, and we would measure the flag pull here and bring it up to the breakout, and that gets us around the 18,000 range. That doesn't mean we shoot straight up, guys. Obviously there's going to be a lot of movements in between, a lot of resistance, support. If you guys know me and how I trade, I don't mind the little movements. I don't stress out. I'm not a day trader. I don't sit in front of the computer all day and stare at this stuff. I do have a day job. So anyways, also real quick, my rant, I haven't done one in a while. Guys, quit paying these guys to you know, to sell you cheap courses just teaching you the basics that you can learn all over the internet. They're charging an arm and leg for this. You guys are just supporting their drug habits, gambling habits, and lavish lifestyles. They don't care about you. They don't care if you win, lose, whatnot. All they're doing is teaching you the basics that you can learn for free anywhere else on the internet and develop your own strategy. Also, everybody's strategy is different depending on your risk, you know, your risk tolerance, how much money you have to play with and whatnot. So nobody's strategy is the same. So learning from one of these guys is not necessarily going to help you guys. Just quit getting ripped off. I'm sick of seeing these guys rip people off and scare people away from the space. This is a small community anyway when you look at the big picture. So every time there's new people in paying for these shit courses, they are getting scared away. They lose their money. They get away from crypto and don't want nothing to do with this. We need to inform people to quit paying for this crap. So anyways, done with my rant there. Let's look at the daily RSI. And if you guys been watching, you know that we had been watching this top trend line here, and it helped us call all of these peaks from all of these rises. I do believe we're probably headed back up to retest that peak again. And if you look here, I have this trend line drawn in here. We bottom out, we come up, top out on this top trend line, bottom out on this one, top out, bottom out, top out, and we bottomed out again. There's a chance we come back down, test this run one more time before the move up. But we'll take a look at that in the bearish case scenario. But as of now, this is looking pretty healthy, guys. Let's look at the 4 hour. And again, we'll take a look at the bearish and bullish case scenario next. We've watched all this. If you haven't watched my videos, definitely go back and check it out. It'll help you learn of how we were watching all these. And this was the latest one. This was yesterday's video, and I'd said if we broke out above this, we're gonna have a nice move up, which we are in now. Definitely, definitely learn the RSI, guys. That's the only indicator I really use other than my EMAs, and I use some Fibonacci, but all the other crap is just noise. I don't pay attention to it. All the other indicators, the paid indicators, all that crap, I believe it's just noise and it'll just confuse you. So keep that in mind. Now let's look at the price action. Let's see what's going on. We'll take a look at the bearish case scenario first, and then we'll take a look at the bullish case. Excuse me. The fat white line, that's what I consider the trend change line. And as you can see, we were talking about that earlier. So keep that in mind, what that is right there. There's also a rising channel in here, which we had a big break of it here and broke back in it. And that's in the thinner white lines. So we were watching this yesterday as a reversal diamond, which seems to be playing out, even though we are getting resistance at the 55 EMA on the 4 hour, around 9,800. We did have that target in here. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right, bearish case scenario first, guys. If we're to come up, I'm going to move this over. We did hit that yesterday, up to around the 98.50 range, which would be the top of this channel I have drawn in white here. And the bearish case scenario, we come up, we tap that, and then we come all the way back down to test this white line. We never did touch it again yet since back in here. So there is a possibility we come back down and test it. It's going to be around the $9,200 range. I also had this target in here, which I am going to move now. around that 80, around the 8450, 8500 range, and that's looking at this trend line here, which is possible, guys, but I do think that this trend line here is going to hold. But in the bearish case scenario, if that does not hold, then we're looking at the 8450 range, somewhere in there. Worst case scenario, guys, is we retest this yellow trend line here, which I had as a rising broadening wedge, and we popped out of it here around the 6700 range. And my worst case scenario there, guys, is, you know, if we were to drop straight down now, that would be around the $8,200 range, and that's if we went straight down. The longer this takes, the higher that goes. So, but again, I don't see that happening. I'm definitely sticking with the bullish case scenario here, and we'll look at that now. All right, so we were looking at this here as a reversal diamond, which seemed to play out, guys. We came up, broke out of it, came back down, and tested the bottom right corner of this and moved on right back up. But we are getting resistance at the $9,800 range, which is the 55 EMA. I do believe we come up and at least test the top of this channel around the 98.47 range, and then, you know, we could if we break that, then we're looking at the higher targets. This is the measured move by measuring the diamond here and to where we broke out. That's the measured move to around the 10,200 range. I also have this red line you can see drawn in here, which was drawn off these peaks, and we broke it here, came back down to retest it. So that's looking pretty strong, guys. We have a good possibility of breaking this 98.50 range. I don't have it in there, but I'm going to draw a measured move in here now of this channel and take a look at where the measured move, if we broke out past this around this 98.50 range, the measured move on that one would be right in this area here. Whoops, that was not what I wanted. The measured move of the break of that channel would be right around the $11,000 range, guys. That would be a break of this falling white channel here. Definitely possible. I am looking towards this 98.50 at least, and if that breaks, then we go up to these higher targets. So that's where I'm at with that. Now let's take a look at the Bitcoin daily versus the gold weekly chart and why I believe we're on our way to 46,000 by the end of the year. Everything is still playing out beautifully. Even though this part looks a little different, it's still, you know, still part of the pattern. This is remember, guys, a pattern is a pattern. Human emotion's the same. The gold is in the weekly chart. Things are a lot faster now. Bitcoin's a lot smaller market cap, so it's a lot quicker and easier to move. Yeah, guys, and a pattern's a pattern. You know, just like I talk about, you know, finding a pattern in a 5-minute chart, say a triangle, and seeing how it plays out compared to a triangle you find in a weekly and how it plays out. So this is definitely a pattern here. As you can see here, I have a dotted line drawn from the all-time high here, and then the second peak, I have the yellow line, and we broke out of that back in January, and we've been watching this particular chart since January on this channel. We've followed it all the way through. It's still playing out beautifully, guys. If you look here, I have a blue trend line from the old support before the drop off, and once we broke through, we came back down, wick tested it, and went up from there. I also have this white line drawn from these support areas in the old bear market, and that, keep an eye on where we're at and what's going on here. We're traveling right around this white line, white trend line. I do believe once we break above it, that'll be it, and we're off. Let's look at the gold weekly. I'm going to switch back and forth so you can see the resemblance, guys. That's why I believe by the end of the year we should hit 46 to 47,000. As you can see, a pattern is a pattern, and I do believe this pattern is going to play out. So looking at gold, I drew that same blue trend line, which once we broke out of, we continued on up and we hovered around this white line just like we are here. Also in Bitcoin, we had 2 touches on this bottom trend line before the move up. Same thing in gold, 2 touches on the bottom trend line before the move up. So the resemblance is amazing, guys. Now, the next thing I want to look at is the RSI, which we've also been watching since January, and what gave us the clue of what was going on. So let's look at the weekly RSI first. And as you can see in the weekly RSI, this over here is the 2013 bull market. This is 2017. I drew the same trend line in here. And again, guys, we've been watching this since January, which was right in this area before we broke through this trend line. This is the 2013 bull market followed by the bear market. We had 2 touches of resistance on this trend line before breaking through and starting the next bull market. 2017 bull market followed by the bear market. 2 touches of resistance on this trend line before starting the bull market. Another thing I want to point out that I've been showing you guys in the last few videos is the resemblance of these 2 areas right here. Amazing resemblance, and it kind of shows us what we could be expecting next, which would be something like this. And again, these don't play out exactly to the T, guys, but something like that. I do believe we are in for a massive bull run. Even though we're already in a massive parabolic bull run, I believe it is only just begun. I know everybody's getting really bearish here, starting to talk about the $7,000 range and whatnot, but I don't think it's going to happen, guys. I don't think we're going to see much lower than that, 9,100, 9,200 possibly. Other than that, guys, I don't see us going down that low. So if you're waiting for those lower lows, good luck. I don't think it's going to happen, but I could be wrong. Again, guys, this is only my opinion. Now let's look at the monthly RSI, which we've also been watching. Had these 2 arcs drawn in here. 2013 bull market, 2017 bull market. 2013 followed by the bear market. Each arrow represents a new low in the RSI. We had 4 of them before starting the bull market. 2017 bull market followed by the bear market. Each arrow representing a new low in the RSI. We had 4 of them before starting the bull market. I do believe that this arc may be more like this. A hell of a lot more parabolic, a hell of a lot stronger. So I'm still waiting for a big catalyst too. I think something is going to happen, some huge news. What it is, I'm not sure, maybe ETF, but anyways, if you guys enjoy these videos, I do them every day. Definitely subscribe by hitting the Crypto Savvy logo above my head. Tick the notification bell to get you notified when I post new videos. Like I said, I also do some live streams that'll notify you when I do them that way. Smash those likes, guys. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. I really appreciate all the support you guys been giving me. It's been great. I love you guys, and I will see you later.